Are you a manager who is eager to change the trajectory of your career? I have spent the last 23 years as a Fortune 50 leader learning from other industry leaders how to break free from limiting beliefs and habits. On the Might in Motion podcast, we focus on the 4 M's: motivation, momentum, mindfulness, and might. We bring you leaders from Fortune companies, doctors, and entrepreneurs. Their stories of living their own might in motion will inspire you to create your own action plan and achieve your goals. Welcome to Might in Motion. Today's episode of Might in Motion is brought to you by Pantheon FM, Fortunes Magnified. Pantheon FM is changing the world through entrepreneurship. In this community, you will find everything you need to create, amplify, and monetize your world-changing business. Join us at pantheon.community/register/LAUA. Today, I have the privilege of speaking to Geoffrey Webb. He's helping experts become leaders. Geoff graduated from West Point with an engineering physics degree and commanded Army units around the globe as an Apache attack helicopter pilot. Following his military career, he studied with Second City in New York, teaching improvisation while working as a professional actor. Blending his creative work with his technical experience, Geoff began to develop authentic leaders in corporate America and soon found himself transforming leaders in the world's largest companies. At Walmart, he led a team that designed and delivered leader development for 2.1 million associates in 27 different countries. Geoff has worked with Google, Facebook, Apple, IBM, JP Morgan, HBO, Chick-fil-A, and more to help professional experts cultivate deeper and more effective relationships. He lives in Northwest Arkansas with his wife and his 3 children. Geoff, welcome to Might in Motion.
Hey, Mariana. Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
This is really cool because your bio is amazing. Many people know I am married to a former Marine. So we're probably going to have to battle back and forth, you and I, a little bit on that. But you did fly attack helicopters. So that puts you up a notch. And I love that you totally could have pivoted and you went and did improv, which seems like a little bit of counterintuitive from what you were doing before. You've had an amazing, like, momentous career by making those big pivots. Really cool. Tell us a little bit about your story.
Yeah. Coming out of West Point, a lot of times, even my story doesn't really start there. It's where my bio usually starts. But even before then, I was always interested in leadership. I was always also kind of having fun with people. I wasn't your typical Army officer, I don't think. I kind of put on the uniform every day, learned a lot, got a lot more out of my service than I think I gave. But a lot of times I put that on, looked in the mirror, and I'm like, it's Halloween again. I'm dressed up like an Army officer, but really enjoyed my work. Again, the teams that I worked with in Europe and Asia and all over the world, it just, I loved it. And I honestly, I got out because I had been in uniform since I was 17. I didn't know what I was going to do, but I half expected to end up back afterwards, but trying different things out. I ended up in New York. It wasn't a super logical choice, but I found I learned a lot and a ton. And I think that we hear a lot about left brain, right brain stuff. I really lived that, where I had a very technical career and I had a very creative career. And I found that really where those two meet was a sweet spot for me and a lot of other people, both with technical people trying to get creative and creative people trying to balance out that technical piece. So that's what I've enjoyed my entire life. That's maybe the through line, maybe. And it's really been a source of how I help other people and what I do.
Mm-hmm. I think it's awesome. I'm an engineer by trade and by education, but I did a lot of improv and theater growing up as well. And so, reading your bio, I'm just like, man, that it's really cool because I think those two things really makes you unique. And the improvisational skills is huge if you're presenting, and it's huge when you're working on any kind of project because it gives you the tools to actually be able to pivot and to ask questions, because you're playing games that are like just everything has to be a question, right? And what are some things that you took from that part of your education, right, of doing that improv into corporate America that new leaders could learn from?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things is my first introduction. A lot of people introduction to improv are shows like Whose Line Is It Anyway? And I used to watch that, and I used to be amazed. I mean, how do these people do this? How do you come up with this stuff in this amount of time? And what I thought was interesting, as an engineer, there's a science to it. There are rules that people who do improv follow. And you've probably heard of some of them. Yes, and, right? So this idea of when someone comes up with something, I thought I was acting and I was going to be this, but then you said something, and our tendency is, no, this was my plan. This is what I was going to stick with. But improv lets you say, you know what? No, yes. I'm saying yes to whatever you said. That's where we are now. You've changed the world, my world. Yes, and I'm going to add something. And this idea of I'm not going to think about it. I'm just going to, whatever comes out is going to come out. And we're going to be okay with it. We're both going to be okay with it. And we're going to figure that out. So it's I think that sense of being okay with ambiguity, but also working in teams and acknowledging each other and saying, hey, you know what? You're different. You see the world in a different way than I do. And there's value in that. I only have my point of view. My point of view is valuable. The world needs it. You need it. But so's yours. And I need your view. And if we can all get to that place, I think it's powerful. I think that
it's special.
It's special. And that's one of the things I thought, just ensemble work, as far as working in teams, this idea of, we all like to say, oh, it's about synergy, right? 1 + 1 is 3. But as an engineer, I'm kind of like, no, 1 + 1 is 2. Like it really is. Like, you can't mess with math. You can mess with some things, but you can't mess with math.
Right.
But it made sense in the ensembles I was in, because a lot of things, as humans, we care about what other people think of us. And so when we stand up in front of a bunch of other people, we want to look good. We're worried about making ourselves look good. And that's true for every human on the planet. But if you go to a show and 5 people are up there and they're all trying to make themselves look good, it just seems like arrogance up there. It doesn't work, right? And if you think about it, only one person is trying to make you look good. Whereas if you go in and you go on and you're in an ensemble that really embraces this, where my job isn't to make me look good. My job is to make everybody else look good, do whatever I can to make them look amazing. Then all of a sudden I have 4 people working really hard trying to make me look good. And I need all the help I can get, let's be honest. And I'm not worried about me. I'm trusting them to take care of me, and I'm going to take care of them. And that math, for some reason, somehow that starts to make sense when we talk about synergy and team.
Yeah. I love it. And I love how you said that then starts building trust. So as you've gone through your corporate career and then working with so many, just everybody knows these brands that you've worked with, right? How do you help others navigate that building of trust within their teams?
Yeah, I think that first off, and I marry this back to the improv, this idea of learning to trust yourself and what's going to come out of you. I think that on a level, we go into, a lot of leaders I see go in and they're like, all right, I want people to trust me. I want to lead in a way that people trust me. And they don't do the homework of trusting themselves. And we as humans pick up on that pretty quickly. We can tell when someone doesn't. We may not be able to articulate it and say, oh, that person doesn't trust themselves. But we get this kind of uneasy feeling like, and that uneasy feeling, I think, comes from a leader standing up and saying, hey, you should trust me.
But why?
But everything else I'm showing you tells you that I really don't trust myself, and I'm just winging it and trying to do this. So I think that homework of, as a leader, saying, you know what, taking a sober judgment of myself. I'm good at these things. I am good at these things. I am not good at these things. I need either to cope in some way, or I need some help. I need support in this. But man, I can rock this. This is unique and good. and understanding myself and trusting myself when it makes sense, and not trusting myself when it doesn't make sense, and not being okay with that, being comfortable in my own skin on who I am, what my story is, what I brought, uh, what I can do, what I can't do, what I know, what I don't know, who I am, who I'm not. And that, I think, is the starting place that draws people in. That authenticity. They're like, hey, we don't get that a lot. This girl's different. This guy's different. Maybe this is going to be something real. Maybe it's a place where I can actually bring myself to work, and we can kind of trust each other, kind of like I was talking about that ensemble way. So,
I love that. Now you work with others. You've got this whole engaging humans, right? I was reading one of your posts from a month or so ago, and tell us a little bit about what that means, what engaging humans means to you.
Yeah, engaging humans, it really is this confluence of this left and right brains, right? So a lot of times, as I've gone through my career, the place I found my sweet spot is working with experts, people who are really smart, really good at what they do. And because they're so good, they get promoted. And in a lot of these places, I work a lot in technology now and in healthcare. You get promoted, and all right, now you're a leader because you're good at what you did. Nobody takes the time to tell you how to lead or to teach you how to do these things. So a lot of times you just keep doing what worked for you, right? I got promoted because I'm smart, because I'm good at what I do. So I'm going to continue being the smartest person in the room. I'm going to be the best. And depending on your personality and different things, this spills into a lot of different things that become troublesome as a leader, of micromanaging, not delegating, doing it all yourself, all these things that, because your worth is tied up in being good and being smart and being the best. And it's a huge shift to say, okay, what if I really engaged the people on my team and we all got together and I brought out the best of you and we covered each other's parts that we need help, and maybe we outsource things that we want to outsource. We start to work really as a team. Results go through the roof, and mental health comes back.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, because I mean you're promoted because you're this fantastic individual contributor, right? And now you have to start making this pivot from I had somebody on a prior episode call it mission first versus people first. And that's a big pivot, but now you have to change your mission to being the people. And your mission is to make sure that your people are seen, are heard, are contributing to the overall team mission instead of you doing everything for your individual mission.
Yeah, absolutely. And listen to what you just said. It just sounds like what we were just talking about an improv troupe standing up on the stage, right? It's about me and making me okay, or are we all going to get together and we're all going to make everybody else look good? We're all going to work to empower everybody. We're going to remove obstacles for each other so that together we can accomplish something greater than any of us could have.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Are there things that when you were in the military that you actually were able to take with you into corporate America that helped you become more successful in that realm?
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned one of them, and this is a bit outdated because of well, it just is. But we used to say those two words, mission and people. We used to say mission first, men always, or mission first, people always. So this idea that, I don't know, what's that really mean? But we wrestle with it. This idea that we're doing something, but we can't. We've got to take people along to do it. We've got to take care of people. It's interesting. I watch war movies and all this stuff. And we have this stereotypical military leader who's like yelling and forcing people to do things. It was my ambition never to order anyone to do anything as an officer. I mean, I had UCMJ authority over soldiers. It's Uniform Code of Military Justice. Basically means I could court martial people. I was judge and jury depending on where we were and what we were doing. But I don't want to pull on that. I want to create this trust. I want people to understand what we're doing. So I think that's one of the big ones that I think has been beneficial, is the idea of commander's intent. So we make plans. And Eisenhower he has a great quote. He talks about how plans are useless, but planning is indispensable, right? This idea of the process of planning is very important, but the plan itself isn't the important part. The important thing is all of us sitting around talking about, what are the obstacles in our way? What are we really trying to achieve? What's the terrain look like? What's the weather look like? What are we going to run into? What are contingencies? That all of that is part of planning, and you get that in your head so that when you're on the ground and you start, because another great quote, I don't know who said this, is the enemy always gets a vote, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you plan out this great idea, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and then we're going to come around here. Things never happen like that. But if you've planned and thought about it, you're right. So the idea of commander's intent is part of planning in military command is, and it's changed a little over the years, but basically it's, hey, at the end of all this, when the dust settles, this is where I want to be. This is what I want us to have done. The objective we've achieved. These are the key tasks I think we need to accomplish. How we do that, I'm going to leave up to you guys. We can make plans and all this stuff, but these key objectives, and this is what I want it to look like at the end. And that's drilled into every leader from the very top all the way to the bottom. So as soon as a mission kicks off and the enemy gets a vote, and you find out that they're not where they're supposed to be, and they have weapons that we didn't know they had, on the fly, you can say, well, in my head, I know that at the end, we're supposed to be here, and these are the things we need to get done in order for that to happen. I'm going to make a call, and I'm going to do things. And so it opens up this decentralized leadership that people can take initiative, and they can make things happen even when things don't go according to plan. But it's a mindset in order to empower junior leaders to take initiative and to go off book.
Yeah, I think sometimes in corporate America, if you've never been exposed to the military or serving or being in a military family or whatever, it's sometimes hard to translate that experience that that individual had in the military and how it's so applicable it is in corporate America, right? Yeah. Because it really is, to your point of understanding the big picture. Well, then I know that if I've got somebody who has that background, once they understand what the overall vision is, they're going to be making decisions that are going to benefit that end point. It may be different than how I would have gotten there, but they're going to get us there. Yeah. Versus like somebody who's never had that mindset, it might be, well, nope, she said I had to do 1, 2, 3, 4 in this order exactly. And I'm going to, maybe that's not the right order based off of whatever the circumstances, the environment is. So you can actually get a lot of creativity from somebody who has that military background.
Yeah, and it's a mindset in the junior leader, but it also has to be a mindset in the leader to allow that kind of range. And be like, I love how you said it. It's not the way I would have done it, but you got there and you followed the things I wanted to do, and being able to be like, that's okay. I may have a few tweaks, and we may have what in the Army also we call after action reviews, which we're going to talk about what happened, what did we do well, what did we not do well, where did we get lucky, all those types of things in order to next time we do it even better. But giving, especially the more junior leaders, the freedom to try stuff and to fail and to not be punished for it, but to be taught and developed through it.
I love that. What are some like tips or tricks? That's hard to say 3 times fast, right? That you see for rising leaders and things that they could do that would really help them make that pivot from individual contributor to a leader of people.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things that leaders can do, young leaders can do, is listen. And it seems like, listen, what am I going to listen to? And it's, again, culturally, like, I don't need to listen. I'm the expert, right? But this idea of really disciplining yourself and realizing that listening isn't a passive thing where information is coming into you. It has a transitive effect on other people. Like a lot of times when I teach, I tell people, hey, raise your hand if you've ever had someone really listen to you. Just think about it right now. And if you're in the podcast, listen to this. think about it in your life. Usually somebody pops in your mind, an instance, a moment. And I asked people, okay, who'd you think of? It was grandmothers, it was parents, it was a boss, it was coach, somebody. And then I asked them, how did it make you feel? And the words we get back, Mariana, are just, they're phenomenal. They're words like, I felt empowered. I felt seen. I felt smart. I felt like, and whoever made that was listening. And we think of listening as coming towards us, but it really, you created that experience in that other person. And it doesn't, listening doesn't, as a leader, you can listen to someone. Doesn't mean you have to do what they say or what they suggest or any of that stuff. People can walk out. You can say no to people, and you say that, without being like, that's a dumb idea, or I don't have time for that, or any of that kind of. There are ways, or sometimes you're like, you don't have time to explain. You say, hey, you know what? Go back, run the numbers on it. If you can get it to within, half that budget and 3 times the amount of, profit off of that, then come back to me.
Yeah.
Right? Or talk to so-and-so. He had an idea like this. Because here's the thing, everything you say, when someone comes and talks to you and you say yes or you say no, you're making a decision in that moment, but you're also making a decision culturally.
Right.
Because that person is going to go back and they're going to talk to, everybody's going to find out about this, even if it's a private meeting, or the word's going to get out.
Oh yeah.
Right. Mariana, yeah. I gave her this idea. It was kind of a crazy idea. And she was like, huh, that's kind of interesting. We don't have time to do that now, but she seemed open to it. Right. Okay. Yeah. Whereas somebody comes to me and they're like, I'm like, that's stupid. We don't have time for that. Or stay in your lane. That's not your job. That gets out. Hey, don't take Geoff any ideas. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Then that kills the culture immediately. I mean, you might get one other chance, but once that happens, 2, 3 times, the culture just basically becomes, all right, I'm going to wait for my order and then I'll move. But until then, I'm not going to move.
And the tragedy is that the leaders who are doing that aren't bad people. They aren't trying to tank the company or get us off track. They're actually, in their mind, trying to do well. They're trying to do good. Hey, I've only got so many resources. I've only got, this is what I've been asked to do from my boss. I really can't waste resources on that. And all I'd say is, again, you don't have to say yes to every idea, but I think you need to dignify every try.
I love that. I love that word, dignify the try. That's powerful. Yeah.
That's from one of my West Point roommates, Doug Crandall, wrote a book called Permission to Speak Freely. And it's a great book. I recommend it. And it all is about putting the onus on leaders to create environments where people will speak up.
I love that. So I know you're working on a book. Would you like to tell us about the book?
Yeah, sure. It's a book about trust and trustworthiness, really. I think that I've been thinking about writing a book for years, and finally the place I'm like, yeah, I think I've got something to say, and I think it fits. There just seems to be a lot of people out there who find themselves trusting people who are not trustworthy, or equally tragic, not trusting people who are trustworthy. So the real focus of the book, and the crazy thing is there's tons of research out there for the past 70 years about trust and about trustworthiness and the antecedents and what creates them and all this stuff that really hasn't been put out in a way that people can access and can make progress. So that's the intent, is to try and help people be able to both assess trustworthiness better, and to build their own trustworthiness and attract some trust from other people. So.
I love it. Well, when you publish, you need to let me know. We'll have you back to talk specifically about the book, because I'm an avid reader. I love it. I can't wait. And I think it's a fantastic topic. Now, you work with people one-on-one and with corporations, or mainly with corporations?
Both. I do individual coaching. I work a lot with, like I said, right now I'm in technology and healthcare. I have a couple of Doug is one of the people I'm working with at a place called the Referent Group. and we work with hospitals and medical systems to help doctors become better leaders.
I love that.
Yeah, it's super rewarding. When we talk about the military and the mental health in the military, the mental health of our doctors in America and nurses, all healthcare people, is really scary. They are putting themselves out there. We've been through the pandemic. Even before the pandemic, though, they are burning themselves out, helping other people and dealing with systems and all this other stuff. And the same problem we were talking about, they're getting promoted, they're expected to lead, but nobody, it's just not part of their curriculum. I'm talking about experts and being told, you can't. Here's the thing: you when you have a baseball player, a really good batting average is like 30% or something, like 300. What's a good batting average for a doctor?
Better be way north of that. Yeah.
All the time. So they don't have systems for people to talk to them, and we see this in other industries as well. But I enjoy it to be able to take care of people who are taking care of all of us.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer. Everybody needs they need mentors, coaches. You can use whatever term you want, but it's important, and in different aspects of your life. So for your relationships, for your professional career, etc. And so I love that you focus on that area. I'm going to share on the screen, and we'll put it in the show notes. But also, what are some of the best ways for people to get a hold of you? Is it LinkedIn? Should they just go straight to your website? What's the best way?
Anywhere, LinkedIn, website. I think one of the things that I told you, I'm writing this book, but I have a weekly newsletter that I put out, not only just something that I think will help people as far as trust, but I put part of the process on there as well. I asked for feedback on parts of the book. Right now we're in the book proposal process, so things are going out there, and so it's kind of a community that we're growing. That's part of this book project thing. But you can go to the website. We can drop the link straight to the newsletter if people are interested in joining that as well. But you can also find the links on the website pretty easy.
Awesome. And that's geoffreywebb.com for those of you that are listening. I wrote down notes because I love notes. Everybody knows this who listens and tunes in. I say this every episode, but some of the nuggets that I wrote down was yes and, which is an improvisational game that people who have done improv knows, but it helps you navigate change and being able to pivot in your career, on a project, etc. And that allows you to figure out change together as a team versus just looking out for the individual. There's value to see the world differently. Learning how to trust yourself allows you then to trust others. It translates together. Commander's intent. So the process of planning is more important than the plan. I love that. That's huge. And then listening. It's more to learn, and it dignifies that there was a try attempted by that individual, the team, and that can go a long way, providing that realm of dignity for an organization and a group is huge. So those are some of my nuggets.
Mariana, you're a good note taker. You said this to me too.
Hey, you said a lot of nuggets, man. You made it easy on me. Well, I so much appreciate your time today, carving it out for us, the Might in Motion podcast. And I'm so excited to be on the lookout for your book because I just know it's going to be phenomenal. So thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thanks, Mariana. I loved being here. I love what you're doing. It's so encouraging, and I'm going to keep tuning in myself.
Thank you for tuning into Might in Motion. If you learned something about motivation, momentum, mindfulness, or might, please like, comment, and share. Thank you.